Hello and welcome to this live stream. Here is Aditya Nowotny from the big island of Hawaii, from Captain Cook on the west coast of Big Island. And this live stream is about accurate thinking, the power of accurate thinking. Yesterday we were talking about the fact that what you know shapes your life. For example, if you know you can do it, you will do it. If you know that you will fail, that it won't work, it will not work. So what you know is what becomes your reality. Therefore, choose wisely what you know, because the power of thoughts shape your reality. Hello, Francis. Hello, Majoreska. Hello, Eve Arnold. Very nice to see you. Welcome. So, about your knowing about your life, there is 3 steps I encourage you to take. First step is, what do you allow yourself versus what you not permit yourself. Second is, what do you choose for yourself. If you don't choose it, you lose it. And third, what do you destine to be? What do you determine to be in your life, to become your destiny? And this is the process of knowing what you allow, what you choose, and what you destine to be, what you decree to be. Now we go one step further today, and that step, hello Wolfgang, that step is accurate thinking. Now, accurate thinking is a term that Napoleon Hill coined in his book, The Laws of Success. If you read chapter 10 of The Laws of Success, this is the 10th principle of being successful among 15. And accurate thinking has a few differentiations that I want to tell you about. The first is accurate differentiates, is it fact or is it fantasy? Fact means it's actual, it's real. Fantasy, that could be an interpretation. It could be an opinion of yourselves or opinion of others. It could be a sensitivity. That means something goes wrong and you say, oh, I feel so bad. I don't like feeling bad. I'm not going to do it anymore. That's a sensitivity. Many people who are losers in life have such sensibilities and sensitivities. They are easily discouraged and they don't want that feeling of being wrong. And so it's very, very difficult for them, because they take their sensitivity, the feeling of being discouraged, the feeling of I can't do it, the feeling of, oh, it will always go wrong, I come to that later, as reality, as fact. Well, it's not a fact. A winner in life will say, okay, it didn't work this time. Let me find out what went wrong so I do it better next time. So the winner stays with the facts. And the loser often goes into sensitivities. What is your choice? What do you choose? Remember, allow yourself, choose, destine in that field. Do you have the power of accurate thinking in the sense that you look for facts, or do you get deviated into fantasies, into interpretations, into opinions, into sensitivities, or even into hearsay? Some people said it is like that, and then you take that for a reality. Or even your own internal dialogue. You are telling it to yourself. That's also a hearsay. Just by repeating it all the time, it doesn't become truer. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But unfortunately, that's what many people do. They repeat in their own self-talk, in their inner dialogue, the wrong opinions, their interpretations, their sensitivities, and thus they become a reality for them. And that's not accurate, because it's not a fact. So that's step 1. differentiate fact from myth, from fantasy, from interpretations, opinions, hearsay, and sensitivities. Second step, is it important or is it unimportant? So it's a fact, yes, but is it an important fact or is it an unimportant fact? Now that's very, very important for you to choose the important facts and deal with them first. And then if you have time, deal with the unimportant facts. Now we have something called the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. And it's quite interesting that the important things that you and I and everyone can do every day, they don't take the whole day. Usually it takes about 20% of the time to do the most important things, to get them done. But the most important things, they give you 80% of the result. Now, usually winners are choosing to do the important things first, whereas amateurs, hobby people, people who are not in the success track yet, they very often choose the unimportant things first. But the unimportant things take up 80% of the time and they bring only 20% of the result. Now the question is, why do most people choose the unimportant things? Because there's not so much at stake, because it's not so risky, because if they fail, it's not so bad, because it was just a little thing, an unimportant thing. Well, of course, if you do the little things, there's little risk, but there's also little result. Whereas if you are a winner, if you have the success mindset, you choose every day, what are the 3 most important things for me to do today? And then you ensure to get them done. And then you still have enough time to do the less important things. That's step 2 of accurate thinking. Step 1, is it a fact or myth? Step 2, if it's a fact, is it important or is it unimportant? I suggest you choose the important facts. Now, step 3 is a little bit about how human thinking works. Human thinking works by way of induction and deduction. Induction is that you see a detailed result, a single phenomenon. For example, you throw a rock into a window and the window breaks. And you do a second time, you throw another rock in another window, or even the same rock in another window. And again, that other window also breaks. And you do it a third time. And you'll find out rock always breaks window. So you induce from the individual result to the general that rock always breaks window. Now deduction would be that you think, well, if rock breaks window because window is fragile, maybe other hard objects also break windows. For example, a football. If you throw a football fast enough, it breaks windows, because it's also hard enough to break the window. That is a deduction. Induction, rock breaks window, so always rock, the hard object, breaks the fragile object. Deduction, other hard objects also break something fragile like window. So far so good, and everyone works with induction and deduction. However, if you are not doing it accurately, you can get to the wrong conclusions. For example, you present to someone a product that you distribute, that you sell. Let's say a wellness product. And the person says, I'm not interested. You present the same product to a second person. And the person says, oh, leave me alone, I have other things to do. You present your wellness product to a third person. And again, come on, I'm not interested in this. Leave me alone. Now you induce. 3 people said no, so everybody will say no. But that's not a fact. Just because 3 people said no to your product, that doesn't mean that if you show it to 10 people, that all 10 will say no. Maybe only 5 will say no, and you were unlucky enough that the first 3 said no, and 5 will say yes. So here we have non-accurate induction. Just because 3 people say no does not mean all people will say no. With the rock and the window, it will most probably, if you threw in 3 windows, of course, you can also throw in 10 windows or 100 windows, it will always be the result. Because the hard object and the fragile object. But showing a product to different people, some people need it, some people want it, some people don't need it or have other preoccupations at that time. So here induction is not accurate. Now, many people go from such inductions into generalizations. What are the generalizations? Everybody, nobody. Always, never. Everything, nothing. These are the 3 pairs of generalization. For example, I showed it to 3 people, but nobody wants it. That means nobody will ever want it. All are not interested. That's a generalization. Just because 3 didn't want it, it doesn't mean all don't want it. It doesn't mean nobody wants it. Also, you try something and it didn't work. You try it again and it didn't work. You tried a third time and it didn't work. And now you say, I tried 3 times. Or even you tried 10 times and it never worked. And now you say, oh, I tried it, it never works. That's a generalization, which may not be true. Take Thomas Edison, for example. Thomas Edison had hundreds of experiments with the electric bulb. And he was actually being really laughed at by the East Coast establishment in his time, because they said, this poor fool, he thinks he can make electric light in a bulb. And he was ridiculed. Now, that didn't stop Thomas Edison. He said, just because I failed 100 times doesn't mean it's wrong. There will be light. And there was light. Because finally Thomas Edison got the missing piece, the vacuum, in the pulp. And then he triumphed. So he didn't fall prey to a generalization, just because I tried 100 times, it will never work. Or just because I tried 100 times, I will always fail. He stayed accurate. He said, well, there must be something missing. What is it that is missing? And he found it. And then he was successful. So that's a very important hint for you. What is your vacuum? What is your missing piece? Don't give up even after 100 times, because it's very often just the one or the other missing piece. And once you apply that missing piece, you will be successful. So the generalizations are dangerous. Everybody, nobody, everything, nothing, and always and never. Be aware of these deductions, generalizations, because in natural science, such deductions like hard object breaks in glass, so other hard object also will break in glass, this deduction is admissible. But in human terms, where it's about human behavior, it's not admissible. It's not a natural law. It's not cast in stone. I give you now the next step in your thinking, and that is deal with numbers. Start tracking. If you're working online, it's very easy to track. We have enough softwares that allow us tracking. If you use an email autoresponder like Infusionsoft or Katra, you can track your email open rate, you can track your click rate, you can track your buy rate if you make an offer. If you use a landing page, let's say from Lead Pages or ClickFunnels, you can see who put in their email and clicked further, and then who finally bought the offer or applied for the webinar or whatever. Usually there is 2 numbers you can look at, or 3 numbers. First of all, how many people did I speak to? How many people saw the landing page? How many people saw the web page? Secondly, did they first react like click further? That would be if you speak directly to somebody, that person says, tell me more. So let us say you speak to 100 people and 40 people say, tell me more. And out of these 40 people that say, tell me more, maybe 10 will buy, or you will enroll 10 out of these 40 people. So the numbers are, how many people did you speak to? 100. How many people said, tell me more? 40. How many people bought? 10. Or in online terms, how many people saw your landing page? 100. How many people clicked through, left their email address? 40. How many did you convert finally? 10. Now, what can you change? First of all, you can change how many people you can speak to. Instead of speaking to 100 people, you can speak to 1,000 people. That changes it big time. And that's accurate. That's facts. Secondly, 40 out of 100 said, tell me more, or clicked further. If you change the copy, if you change the design of the landing page, or if you change your process of speaking with people, maybe not 40 out of 100 people will say, tell me more, but 60 out of 100 people will say, tell me more. So that's the next improvement that you can take. The third improvement, of course, is your sales process or enrollment process. So 10 out of 40 bought, that's 25%. If you improve your sales process, your conversion, you might sell to 20 out of 40. You might enroll 20 out of 40. These are fictitious numbers and depends on which field you're in, how expert you are, but you get the idea. You can improve how many people do you speak to in total, 100 or 1,000. You can improve, do you have 40 people out of 100 saying, tell me more, or 60 people out of 100 saying, tell me more. And who do you convert? It can be 10 out of 40 or it can be 20 out of 40. That means 50% say, yes, I want to get it. Now, let us say you improved your conversion rate to 50% and you improved your click-through rate or your tell me more rate from 40 to 60, then it's 30 out of 60 that buy. So you are out of 10, you're now at 30 who buy. And you don't speak to 100 people, but you speak to 1,000 people. Now it's not 30 out of 100 that buy, but it's 300 out of 1,000 that buy. That's the power of numbers, and numbers are accurate. Always determine your key numbers and then measure the process. We call it analytics, we call it tracking. And if you don't use online tools, you can do tracking just with a journal. Always write down how many people do you speak to, how many conversations do you have. Write down who said tell me more, how many. You can make just a list, and then who bought finally or who enrolled finally. And by knowing the numbers, which is an accurate process, you can make the improvements. Like Thomas Edison, he tracked it all. He checked it all. He excluded all the factors that were not important, and he finally found a factor that was important, and that was the vacuum in the bulb. And finally there was light in the electric bulb. Otherwise humanity may have been sitting in darkness or by candlelight or by lamplight, gas lamps, for a few more decades. One person staying true to accurate thinking, tracking all his experiments, brought that change. So what change will be in your life if you use the power of accurate thinking and that last step of tracking, of knowing your numbers? Now let me resume. I know that's a lot to digest and it sounds complicated for many people. And it takes time till you love it, till you love tracking, till you love working with numbers. It takes time till you understand how dangerous generalizations, wrong deductions can be. It takes time to know which inductions are the permissible inductions. It takes time to know which are the important things, which are the unimportant things. And to have the guts to always do the three most important things every day first, and then do the less important things. And for many people who live in La La Land, for many people who live in fantasy land, it's hard to be aware, oh, that was just my own theory. That was just my own interpretation. That was just my own sensitivity. Or that was even hearsay. I heard people saying it, and that person also said it, and that person also said it, so it must be true. So often it happens that you and I and many people mistake hearsay for actual fact. But that's not accurate thinking. So let me resume the 4 steps of accurate thinking. And papai, hello, hola and aloha. What gets measured gets managed. Absolutely right, papai. If you don't measure it, you can't manage it. And this is why it's so important you start tracking your numbers. Whether online, then it's easy with softwares that give you split testing and click-through rates and everything. Or if you work straight on with people, have your journal. Write down your numbers. How many people did I speak to? How many people said, tell me more? And how many people said, wow, I like it. Let me enroll. Let me buy it. So, rundown of the 4 principles of accurate thinking. First principle, is it a fact or is it an interpretation, a sensitivity, an opinion, a theory, a hearsay? Choose the facts. Don't drift off into fantasy land. Second step, is it important fact or unimportant fact? If you're a pro, you stay with the important things. And you do the important things first. That's the Pareto principle, 80-20. You get out of 20% time that it takes to do the important things first, 80% of the result. And then you take 80% of the time to reach the rest 20% of the results with the little things. Third principle, after establishing is it important fact or unimportant fact, how do you use induction? That means rock breaks in window, and that's because it's a hard object that breaks in a fragile project. So I induce other hard objects. That's the deduction. Other hard objects also break the window, like a ball thrown with enough speed. That's a deduction. Induction is if I throw 3 times a rock into the window, well, I can choose to break 10 more windows or 100 more windows, but induction, logical induction says, okay, this is a hard project and this is a hard object and this is a fragile object, so it will always happen. Now, what can go wrong once we are dealing with human beings? It's not like this. It's not like your offer will always be wrong. The product you offer will always be wrong. Because the first 3 people may say no, that doesn't mean that all 100 people or all 1,000 people will say no. A certain percentage will always say yes, if you talk to enough people. So here induction goes wrong because here we are dealing with human beings and not with natural science, not with physics, with hard facts. So also the deduction can be wrong. For example, you show the wellness product and the people said no. Deduction, so they will also not be interested in my wellness service, say a massage service that you provide. And that's wrong. Because some people will say, well, I want that product, but I don't want the massage. Other people will say, I don't want the product, but I want the massage. So the deduction among human beings, here we speak about social sciences, human sciences, is not working like it is working in natural sciences. And so it's very important to be aware of that. Otherwise, inductions or deductions will stop you, and it's not accurate. Now, the final step is know your numbers, learn to track everything you do. As I said, it's easy online with emails that you send out through an email autoresponder, with a website or a landing page. How many people saw it? How many people clicked through? How many people finally bought the offer? Or in terms of you speaking person on person, how many people did you speak to? How many people said, tell me more? And how many people finally said, oh, I want to be enrolled. Oh, I want to buy that. Know your numbers. Also here, numbers are facts and facts are accurate. Accurate thinking. Of course, you can falsify the numbers, but I don't want to go that far. Your step now is to really learn tracking, learn analytics, learn working with numbers. Just these 3 numbers I told you now, they are so important. They make the whole difference in your business success, and you can also applied in other fields of your life. You'll be amazed if you find the correct numbers, the key figures. There's in any area of life there are key figures, find them. Like your task is in step 2, is it important, is it unimportant? Find the 3 most important things every day that you should do first to get 80% of the result, and then do the less important things. So that's it for today. I know that's a lot to digest. You may want to write it down. Please also leave me your comments in the comment section, and we will have these live streams. Enjoy progress, success and happiness now nearly every day. So I'm inviting you to this series, and also I will leave a link where you can put your email address in, that you will always get videos and webinars when I give free webinars, that you will be contacted so you can get them. And I will see you tomorrow for the next part of Enjoy Progress, Success and Happiness. Have fun today and use it. Be accurate. You'll be amazed what change it brings to your life. Bye-bye.